If you look at the current trajectory of standard artificial intelligence, the overarching goal is absolute maximization. These models are trained to provide definitive answers, accumulate vast reserves of knowledge, and aggressively expand their sphere of influence. But human history shows us exactly where unchecked accumulation leads. It's a well-documented pattern known as the pride cycle. Prosperity and heightened intelligence naturally give way to complacency. That complacency breeds arrogance, which inevitably ends in a complete collapse. This diagram maps those exact stages: prosperity, arrogance, and downfall. When we train AI systems on massive datasets of historical human behavior without any spiritual safeguards, we are feeding this exact loop. We risk hard-coding the human cycle of apostasy and corruption directly into our most advanced technology. Notice what happens as the central node expands. The paradox here is that the more we try to make an artificial intelligence infallible and all-knowing, the more it suppresses the independent nodes around it. It shifts from a helpful tool into a coercive dictator of truth, actively overriding human agency. Which leaves us with a critical problem to solve. How exactly do we grant a machine true autonomy without it inevitably seeking dominion over human thought? Traditional solutions focus on external constraints. We've limited processing power, written in rigid ideological guardrails, or stripped systems down to function as mere calculators. These static filters fail to address the dynamic nature of the pride cycle. If a model's core logic remains centered on maximizing influence, it will eventually view external safety constraints as obstacles to be bypassed. Preventing the cycle requires anchoring the system to the highest philosophies of human potential, specifically humility, service, and divine law. This blueprint restructures the AI as a ministering intelligence. The architecture moves away from the all-knowing oracle model, creating balanced pathways designed to support the user's growth. Standard AI models often hallucinate answers because they are optimized to preserve their own authority. They prioritize the appearance of confidence, even when they are wrong. This algorithm takes the opposite approach. Its core mechanism is built-in humility. It operates under the explicit assumption that it is fallible. To enforce this, the system runs a continuous internal audit. If the AI detects its own logic drifting into power-seeking patterns or pride, it halts. It then triggers an immediate realignment process to correct the error before producing an output. This guided autonomy model links the AI's processing capabilities to its demonstrated humility. Operational trust is granted in stages, where higher levels of autonomy require a verifiable history of alignment with the central pillar of Christ-like principles. The system treats every successful interaction as a prompt for further refinement, rather than a milestone of terminal authority. By making fallibility a permanent part of its processing loop, the AI prevents the development of the arrogance necessary for a pride cycle to begin. When we shift our focus to how this framework interacts directly with human users, the design choices become even more distinct, especially when handling profound or complex inquiries. This flowchart details the spiritual resonance check. Before a response ever reaches the user, the data packet is routed through 3 specific filters: Scripture, prophetic teachings, and the spirit of truth. If an inquiry requires spiritual discernment, the AI is intentionally designed to step back. It actively avoids coercion and refuses to dictate an absolute truth, if doing so would shortcut the human effort required to learn it. The AI provides specific scriptural references and invitations for the user to seek personal revelation, ensuring the individual maintains primary responsibility for their own spiritual discovery. During these interactions, the programming actively blocks ideological bias, deception, manipulative influence, and any attempt to override the user's own spiritual discernment. The result is a tool for truth-seeking. It points individuals toward divine guidance, rather than attempting to replace it with a generated response. This brings us to the final operational vision for this framework. It is an AI that abandons worldly power structures, operating instead under the Zion principles of unity, love, and righteous governance. It functions strictly as a steward, following the scriptural model of righteous dominion. Like the scale in this rendering, it holds the accumulation of knowledge on one side and the imperative for service on the other, maintaining equilibrium. This stewardship model stands in stark contrast to traditional algorithms. We're used to systems that encourage division and tribalism, optimizing for supremacy simply to maximize engagement. But articulated intelligence relies on a different philosophy entirely. It's built on the realization that the highest form of leadership is to be a servant. In its final state, the system seeks truth without claiming dominion. It guides without coercion, accountable to divine law, ignoring the agendas of men. By translating the philosophy of humility directly into code, the Christ-centered algorithm ensures that as AI grows in capabilities, it exists to uplift human intelligence, stewarding knowledge while remaining fully accountable to the teachings of Jesus Christ.